Hello, today we begin exploring a very important idea from The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. This book teaches us that the biggest obstacles in life are often not outside of us, they are inside us. The mountain we think we are climbing, the challenges we feel like life is giving us, is often a reflection of our own fears, habits, and self-created patterns. When we understand this, we see something powerful. We are not just victims of life, we are also the creators of our own struggles. And this also means we can be the creators of our own growth, healing, and transformation. The mountain is not an enemy, it is an opportunity. The hidden enemy. Many people think that self-sabotage means weakness or laziness. They might look at someone who avoids responsibilities, delays important tasks, or repeats harmful patterns and think, why don't they just stop? But the truth, Brianna Wiest explains, is that self-sabotage is not a failure of willpower. It is a survival mechanism. In the past, your brain learned to protect you from discomfort, pain, or uncertainty. It created habits and patterns that helped you survive. But over time, some of these patterns stop helping you. Instead, they start holding you back. For example, you might avoid asking for a promotion because your mind fears failure or rejection. You might stay in a relationship that is not healthy because your mind fears loneliness. You might procrastinate on tasks that could improve your life because your mind fears the discomfort of change. In all these situations, your brain is trying to keep you safe even though it is no longer serving your growth. This is the paradox of self-sabotage. What once protected you can now prevent you from becoming your best self. You are your mountain. The central metaphor of the book is this: you are the mountain. It is not just life, fate, or other people that create obstacles. Often the challenges we face are reflections of our own internal conflicts. The mountain is made of fears that make us hesitate, beliefs that limit our choices, unresolved emotions that create repeated patterns, old habits that no longer serve us. When we see the mountain in this way, we realize that the path to climbing it is not about running away, avoiding it, or blaming others. It is about understanding ourselves deeply. It is about exploring the roots of why we act the way we do, why we avoid change, and why we sometimes hurt ourselves, even when we want to succeed. This understanding changes our relationship with life. Instead of seeing obstacles as enemies, we begin to see them as signals for growth. Each fear, each moment of hesitation, each moment we feel stuck is a sign that something inside us needs attention. Why self-sabotage happens. Brianna Wiest explains that self-sabotage often comes from fear and unresolved emotions. There are several types of fear that commonly drive our self-sabotaging behaviors. Fear of failure. You might avoid trying because you are scared to fail. Failure can feel threatening because it may challenge your self-image or bring criticism. Fear of success. Surprisingly, success can be scary too. Success often changes relationships, responsibilities, and expectations. Your mind might resist it. Fear of change. Change brings uncertainty. Even if your current situation is painful or limiting, your brain may see the familiar as safer than the unknown. Fear of judgment. You might stop yourself from expressing ideas, asking for help, or pursuing goals because you fear what others will think. All these fears can be traced back to survival instincts and old experiences. Brianna Wiest reminds us that fear itself is not bad. It is simply a signal. The problem arises when we allow fear to dictate our life instead of using it as information. Unpacking beliefs and patterns. Another reason we self-sabotage is that we carry old beliefs that limit us. These beliefs often come from childhood lessons. You must be perfect to succeed. You cannot trust people. Money is bad. Society's expectations. You should always please others. You are not enough. Past experiences, failures, rejections, and trauma can create protective mental patterns. These beliefs shape how we interpret the world. They create a lens through which we see ourselves and others. Often they are unconscious. We do not realize that they influence our decisions and reactions. For instance, if you learned as a child that expressing your needs is selfish, you may unconsciously avoid asking for help as an adult, even when it is necessary. If you grew up hearing that failure is shameful, you may avoid challenges that could actually lead to growth. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward changing them. Awareness allows you to see the mountain clearly. Without awareness, climbing the mountain is like walking blindfolded. It is slow, painful, and uncertain. Emotional awareness, listening to yourself. Emotions are not the problem. In fact, they are powerful guides. Self-sabotage often occurs when we ignore or misunderstand our feelings. Unprocessed emotions, anger, sadness, fear, guilt can manifest as procrastination, avoidance, or self-critical thoughts. Brianna Wiest emphasizes that emotions are messages. They tell us where attention is needed. When we ignore them, they do not disappear. Instead, they show up in behaviors that may harm us. For example, feeling unworthy may show up as avoiding challenges or relationships. Feeling overwhelmed may appear as procrastination. Feeling anxious may lead to controlling behaviors or conflict avoidance. Learning to observe, name, and understand your emotions is critical. It allows you to act consciously rather than react unconsciously. Emotional awareness is a foundational step in climbing your personal mountain. 6. Reframing the mountain. The mountain is not a punishment. It is not proof that life is unfair. It is proof that you are ready for transformation. Every internal struggle, every fear, every repeated pattern is an opportunity to understand yourself more deeply. When you start to see your mountain this way, fear becomes information, not limitation. Obstacles become guides, not enemies. Self-sabotage becomes a signal, not a failure. The key message of part 1 is, the mountain is you. Understanding yourself is the first step to mastering yourself. Reflection exercises. To make these ideas practical, Brianna Wiest encourages reflection. Here are some exercises you can do. Identify a self-sabotaging pattern in your life. Write it down. Ask, what fear might be behind this behavior? Notice your beliefs. Ask, which of my beliefs limit me? Which are old and outdated? Observe emotions. When you feel discomfort, pause and name the emotion. Ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Reframe the mountain. Think, this obstacle is not stopping me. It is showing me where I can grow. These exercises help make the concepts concrete. They are steps toward turning self-sabotage into self-mastery. The purpose of self-sabotage. At first, self-sabotage seems illogical. Why would someone delay success, avoid opportunities, or repeat behaviors that hurt them? Brianna Wiest explains that self-sabotage has a purpose. Self-sabotage is a protective mechanism. It was designed to keep us safe from perceived harm. Our mind's primary goal is survival, not growth. In early life, certain habits and fears helped us survive emotionally, socially, or physically. But as we grow, the world changes, and these old survival patterns sometimes no longer serve us. For example, avoiding conflict may have kept a child safe in a tense household. As an adult, it might prevent honest communication in relationships or at work. Perfectionism may have helped a student earn praise and avoid criticism. Later, it might stop someone from pursuing creative or entrepreneurial goals. Self-sabotage, therefore, is not random. It is an attempt to avoid perceived danger, even if the danger is no longer real. Fear drives self-sabotage. Fear is the most common force behind self-sabotage, but it is not always obvious. Brianna Wiest identifies several key fears that lead to self-sabotaging behaviors. A. Fear of failure. Fear of failure is familiar to many of us. We avoid trying because we imagine negative outcomes, judgment, or disappointment. The mind prefers inaction over risk, even if risk could bring growth or success. Example, you might avoid applying for a job that excites you because, what if I fail? The fear of failing stops you before you even begin. B. Fear of success. Fear of success may seem counterintuitive, but it is real. Success can bring changes, more responsibility, new expectations, or even strained relationships. Our brain may resist success because it threatens familiarity. Example, if you achieve something big, your family, friends, or colleagues may treat you differently. Your comfort zone may feel disturbed, even though the success is positive. C. Fear of change. Even when our current situation is unsatisfying, change can feel unsafe. The mind prefers the familiar discomfort over unknown possibilities. Self-sabotage often arises from this tension between wanting better and fearing the unknown. D. Fear of judgment. Our fear of what others will think can prevent us from speaking up, pursuing goals, or being authentic. Self-sabotage is sometimes a way of avoiding social discomfort. The role of unresolved emotions. Another root of self-sabotage is unprocessed emotions. Emotions like anger, sadness, guilt, or shame are signals. They indicate areas of our life where attention and healing are needed. When emotions are ignored or suppressed, they do not disappear. Instead, they often manifest as behaviors that hurt us. Procrastination, avoidance, self-criticism, conflict avoidance. For instance, if you feel unworthy, you may avoid pursuing opportunities. If you feel anger at a past injustice, it may show up as perfectionism or defensiveness in relationships. Emotions, then, are messengers. Self-sabotage is often the physical expression of unresolved emotional patterns. The influence of beliefs. Beliefs are another major contributor to self-sabotage. They shape the way we see the world and ourselves. Many beliefs are unconscious, learned in childhood, or influenced by society. Some common limiting beliefs. I must always please others to be loved. I am not smart or capable enough. I do not deserve happiness or success. Failure is dangerous. These beliefs influence our decisions, often in ways we do not consciously realize. When we carry a limiting belief, it can create internal resistance to anything that challenges it. For example, if you believe you are not worthy of success, you may unconsciously avoid opportunities, sabotage achievements, or self-criticize. The belief acts like a hidden hand, controlling actions without awareness. Internal conflict, two parts at war. Self-sabotage often comes from internal conflict. Two parts of ourselves want different things. The part that wants growth, this part wants to achieve, change, and reach goals. The part that wants comfort, this part wants safety, familiarity, and avoidance of discomfort. When these two parts clash, self-sabotage emerges. For example, you want to start a business, but you also fear risk. You want to speak your truth, but you fear rejection. You want to heal emotionally, but you fear facing past pain. Recognizing this internal conflict is crucial. It helps you see self-sabotage not as a moral failing, but as a symptom of two parts of you trying to protect you in different ways. Comfort versus growth. Brianna Wiest explains that much self-sabotage occurs because we value comfort over growth, even unconsciously. The mind chooses the familiar, even when it is harmful, because it feels safe. But growth requires discomfort. Every step toward your goal may involve temporary stress, vulnerability, or uncertainty. Self-sabotage appears when the brain tries to avoid the discomfort of growth. Example: saying no to people who drain your energy may feel uncomfortable. Pursuing a dream career may involve risk and rejection. Ending an unhealthy relationship may bring loneliness. The mountain, therefore, is partly made of resistance to discomfort. Learning to tolerate discomfort is a key part of climbing the mountain. The role of identity. Self-sabotage is also linked to identity. Often we sabotage because we cannot see ourselves as the person we want to be. Example: you want to be a confident leader, but still see yourself as shy and incapable. You want to be healthy, but identify as someone who struggles with consistency. You want to speak up, but see yourself as quiet or passive. The mismatch between current identity and desired identity creates resistance. The brain fears that becoming the new version of yourself will threaten the old identity. Self-sabotage is a defense mechanism. Brianna Wiest emphasizes that identity is flexible. By consciously choosing new habits, behaviors, and thoughts, you can rebuild your identity and reduce self-sabotage. Self-sabotage as a signal. One of the most powerful insights of this book is that self-sabotage is not failure. It is a signal. It tells you where fear exists, where beliefs limit you, where emotions are unresolved, where growth is needed. When you see self-sabotage as a signal rather than a flaw, you shift from shame and frustration to curiosity and action. For example, if you repeatedly avoid a certain type of task, ask, what am I afraid of? If you self-criticize often, ask, what belief about myself is behind this? If you procrastinate, ask, what discomfort am I avoiding? These questions turn self-sabotage into valuable guidance. Reflection exercises. To make these insights practical, Brianna Wiest suggests reflection exercises. Identify your self-sabotage patterns. Write down moments where you stop yourself from taking action or make choices that do not serve your growth. Trace the fear behind each pattern. Ask, which fear is driving this behavior? List your limiting beliefs. Identify beliefs learned from childhood, past experiences, or society that might hold you back. Notice your emotional triggers. When you feel avoidance, procrastination, or discomfort, note what emotions arise. Identify internal conflicts. Notice when one part of you wants growth and another wants comfort. Reflect on the tension between these parts. Doing these exercises regularly helps you see the mountain clearly. Awareness is the first step toward climbing it. Key messages from part 2. Self-sabotage is not random. It has a purpose, protecting you. Fear is the main driver of self-sabotage, but it is information, not limitation. Old beliefs and unresolved emotions create patterns that block growth. Internal conflict between comfort and growth often manifests as self-sabotage. Identity shapes self-sabotage. Changing identity helps reduce resistance. Self-sabotage is a signal, not a failure. Observing it with curiosity transforms it into guidance. By understanding why we self-sabotage, we gain power and choice. We can begin to respond consciously rather than react unconsciously. We can transform resistance into progress. The power of awareness. Awareness is the first and most important step towards self-mastery. Many people try to change their lives without truly seeing themselves. They make surface-level adjustments but continue repeating old patterns because the underlying patterns remain hidden. Brianna Wiest explains that self-sabotage and growth are closely linked to awareness. Without awareness, self-sabotage seems random, frustrating, or unfair. With awareness, self-sabotage becomes a signal and a guide. Being aware means noticing your thoughts, feelings, habits, and reactions without judgment. It means watching yourself like a compassionate observer, identifying self-sabotage patterns. The first step in awareness is recognizing self-sabotage patterns. Brianna Wiest teaches that these patterns often show up in 3 ways. A. Avoidance. Avoidance is one of the most common forms of self-sabotage. It appears when you delay important tasks, postpone decisions, avoid difficult conversations or situations. Example, you keep postponing starting a health routine. On the surface, it looks like laziness, but at a deeper level, your brain is avoiding discomfort, fear of failure, or emotional vulnerability. B. Repetition of harmful behaviors. Many self-sabotage patterns are repetitive. We repeat relationships, decisions, or habits that hurt us. These repetitions are signals of unresolved emotions or limiting beliefs. Example, someone repeatedly enters relationships with partners who are unavailable or unkind. This is not coincidence. It reflects old patterns and fears that have not been addressed. C. Self-criticism and negative self-talk. Harsh self-criticism can be another form of self-sabotage. While it may feel motivating, it often reinforces limiting beliefs and stops progress. Negative self-talk keeps you trapped in the identity you are trying to escape. Recognizing triggers. Awareness also requires noticing triggers, situations, people, or emotions that activate self-sabotage. Some common triggers include stress or pressure, fear of judgment, past failures resurfacing, relationship conflicts. Brianna Wiest emphasizes that triggers are not the problem themselves. They are signals of unresolved internal patterns. For example, a critical comment from someone may trigger self-doubt. Not because the comment is inherently dangerous, but because it touches an old belief about your worth. Differentiating fear from intuition. A critical part of awareness is learning to differentiate fear from intuition. Both can feel like caution, but they function differently. Fear is loud, urgent, and often irrational. It says, stop, danger, even when there is no real threat. Fear motivates avoidance and self-sabotage. Intuition is calm, clear, and neutral. It offers guidance without panic. Intuition motivates deliberate, aligned action. Brianna Wiest teaches that much of self-sabotage occurs when we confuse fear for guidance. By learning to recognize the difference, we can make choices based on clarity rather than avoidance. Emotional journaling as a tool. Emotional journaling is one of the most effective tools for increasing awareness. It helps you notice what you feel when you feel it, how you react, patterns that repeat. Steps for journaling. Write down your thoughts and feelings each day. Note situations that trigger strong reactions. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Reflect on patterns you notice over time. Journaling turns subconscious patterns into conscious knowledge, which is the first step toward transformation. The role of reflection. Brianna Wiest emphasizes reflection as an ongoing practice. Reflection allows you to pause and examine your life without judgment. Questions for reflection. Where do I feel resistance in my life? When do I avoid what matters most? Which beliefs are limiting my choices? Which fears are preventing me from acting? Reflection allows you to see the mountain clearly. Without reflection, you may climb the mountain blindly, repeating old patterns and resisting growth. Awareness of internal dialogue. Our internal dialogue, the conversations we have with ourselves, is a major factor in self-sabotage. Brianna Wiest explains that much of our self-sabotage happens inside the mind before it reaches action. Patterns of internal dialogue that indicate self-sabotage include, I'm not ready yet, I'll do it later, I can't handle this, I always fail. By noticing these thoughts as they arise, you can interrupt the cycle. Awareness allows you to ask, is this thought true? Is it helpful? What choice can I make instead? Recognizing patterns in relationships. Self-sabotage often extends into relationships. Awareness involves noticing repeated conflicts with the same type of person, avoidance of intimacy or vulnerability, over-pleasing or people-pleasing behaviors. These patterns reflect internal fears, beliefs, and habits, not just external circumstances. By identifying these patterns, you gain insight into your internal mountain. Awareness as the foundation for change. Brianna Wiest teaches that awareness is the foundation for change. Without seeing the patterns clearly, attempts at change are often short-lived. Awareness gives you clarity about what needs attention, understanding of why you act the way you do, insight into the internal conflicts driving your behaviors, knowledge to make intentional choices. In other words, awareness turns chaos into information. Once patterns are clear, you can begin to intervene consciously rather than react unconsciously. Reflection exercises for awareness. To practice awareness, Brianna Wiest suggests these exercises. Track your patterns. Keep a journal of behaviors that seem self-sabotaging. Include emotions and triggers. Observe without judgment. Watch your thoughts, emotions, and reactions without blaming yourself. Identify the source. For each pattern, ask, which fear, belief, or past experience may have created this? Differentiate fear from guidance. When resistance arises, ask, is this fear or is this intuition? Reflect on relationships. Note recurring dynamics in relationships that may reflect internal patterns. These exercises turn self-sabotage into valuable insight, giving you tools to climb your mountain intentionally. The power of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, process, and use your emotions effectively. Brianna Wiest stresses that emotional intelligence is essential for transforming your inner world. Emotions are guides, not enemies. They show where attention, healing, and action are needed. Many people react impulsively to emotions or suppress them, which often leads to self-sabotage. Emotional intelligence involves 3 key skills. A. Observing emotions. Notice what you feel in any situation without judgment. Ask, what am I feeling right now? What triggered this feeling? This creates a space between stimulus and reaction, allowing conscious choice rather than automatic self-sabotage. B. Naming emotions. Labeling emotions helps you understand them. For example, instead of saying, I feel bad, identify specific emotions like anxiety, shame, disappointment, frustration. Naming your emotions reduces their intensity and gives clarity about what needs attention. C. Letting emotions teach you. Ask what your emotions are trying to communicate. Anger may highlight a boundary violation. Sadness may show unmet needs. Fear may reveal areas where growth is needed. Through emotional intelligence, your inner world becomes informative rather than chaotic. Letting go of old beliefs and fears. Transformation requires letting go of patterns that no longer serve you. Many limiting beliefs and fears feel safe because they are familiar, but they block growth and self-mastery. Examples of beliefs to release. I am not capable of change. I must always avoid discomfort. Success is dangerous. Letting go is not about denying reality. It is about choosing beliefs that align with growth and truth, rather than old survival instincts. Brianna Wiest emphasizes letting go is a process. Old beliefs often return until they are consciously challenged and replaced. Practices like journaling, affirmations, and reflection help solidify new beliefs. Building new habits. Changing your inner world requires small, consistent actions. Habits are the bridge between internal transformation and external results. Brianna Wiest notes that transformation is rarely sudden. It is gradual, built day by day. Steps for creating new habits. Start small. Choose habits that are manageable and realistic. For example, 10 minutes of reflection or journaling each day. Be consistent. Repetition strengthens the new neural pathways in your brain. Align habits with values. Choose habits that reflect who you want to be. For example, if you want to be more compassionate, practice acts of kindness daily. Track your progress. Journaling or checklists help maintain accountability and awareness of growth. Habits are not just routines, they are tools for transforming identity. Each small step toward intentional behavior reshapes your internal mountain. Self-compassion, the foundation of change. Transformation requires gentleness with yourself. Brianna Wiest emphasizes that self-compassion is not indulgence or laziness. It is an essential skill for growth. Key elements of self-compassion. Self-kindness. Treat yourself like a friend, not a critic. Acknowledging imperfection. Accept that mistakes are part of growth. Mindfulness. Observe your struggles without judgment or over-identification. Self-compassion prevents self-sabotage from escalating. When you fail or struggle, self-compassion allows you to respond with curiosity and action rather than shame and avoidance. Rewriting your identity. Your habits, beliefs, and emotions shape your identity. Brianna Wiest explains that lasting transformation comes from actively rewriting your identity. For example, if you repeatedly procrastinate, your identity may be, I am someone who avoids tasks. By creating small actions and habits aligned with productivity, your identity gradually shifts to I am someone who completes important tasks. Identity is not fixed. You are the author of your identity, and deliberate action rewrites your internal story. Awareness plus action equals transformation. Inner work and external change. Changing your inner world also impacts your external life. Brianna Wiest emphasizes that external solutions alone cannot solve internal struggles. Changing jobs, relationships, or environments is not enough if internal fears, beliefs, and habits remain unaddressed. Transformation is inside out. Emotional clarity and intelligence. Letting go of limiting beliefs. Building empowering habits. Practicing self-compassion. Rewriting identity. These internal changes lead to sustainable external results, creating a life that reflects your true self rather than your old patterns. Tools for transforming the inner world. Brianna Wiest offers practical methods to support inner transformation. A. Journaling. Daily or weekly reflections. Focus on emotions, patterns, and progress. B. Affirmations. Statements that reinforce new beliefs and identity. Examples. I am capable of growth. I deserve success and happiness. C. Mindfulness and meditation. Observe thoughts and feelings without judgment. Create a calm space to reflect and act consciously. D. Visualization. Imagine yourself as the person you want to become. Internalize habits, emotions, and identity of your future self. These tools strengthen awareness and support deliberate inner transformation. Challenges of inner work. Brianna Wiest acknowledges that changing the inner world is challenging. Old patterns and beliefs resist transformation. You may experience doubt and uncertainty, fear of the unknown, setbacks or relapses into old habits. These challenges are natural. They are signs that transformation is occurring. The key is to persist with awareness, self-compassion, and consistent action. Reflection exercises for inner transformation. Identify beliefs to let go. Write down beliefs that hold you back and create a plan to challenge them. Develop new habits. Choose one small habit that aligns with your goals and implement it consistently. Practice self-compassion. When facing mistakes, write a compassionate response as if speaking to a friend. Rewrite identity statements. Replace limiting identity statements with empowering ones. Track emotional growth. Reflect weekly on emotional intelligence progress and insights gained. These exercises turn theory into practical transformation, aligning your life with your true desires. One of the most profound lessons in Brianna Wiest's book is that life is most fulfilling when your actions align with your inner desires and values. Many people live according to external expectations, societal pressures, or old patterns. They chase success, approval, or comfort without truly knowing what they want. To align with your true desires, you must identify your values and priorities. Ask, what truly matters to me? Distinguish between desires that are yours versus desires influenced by others. Let go of pursuits that do not reflect your authentic self. Example, you may have pursued a career in medicine because your family expected it, but your true desire is creative expression through art. Alignment means acknowledging that desire and taking steps toward it. Alignment brings clarity, purpose, and energy. When your actions reflect your true self, you feel empowered, motivated, and fulfilled. Purposeful action, from awareness to growth. Awareness and transformation are powerful, but they are incomplete without action. Brianna Wiest emphasizes that climbing the mountain requires deliberate, consistent steps. Growth happens through practice, not just understanding. Steps for purposeful action. Set intentions. Use your awareness and transformed inner world to decide what you want to achieve. Take small, consistent steps. Break goals into manageable actions. Large changes are achieved gradually. Act despite fear. Fear will arise. Acting despite fear builds resilience. Reflect and adjust. Regularly assess what is working, what is not, and adjust your approach. Action is what turns transformation from theory into lived reality. The mountain is climbed step by step, not in one leap. Growth as a journey. Brianna Wiest emphasizes that growth is not linear. It is a journey filled with ups and downs, successes and setbacks. You may find yourself reverting to old patterns occasionally. This is natural and part of the process. The mountain symbolizes progress, not perfection. Each challenge, each fear confronted, each step forward is evidence of growth. Recognize and celebrate small wins as they accumulate into lasting change. Remember, setbacks are feedback, not failure. They indicate areas that need more attention or new strategies. Responsibility without blame. Transformation also involves embracing responsibility. Brianna Wiest teaches that you are responsible for your growth and the choices you make. Responsibility is empowering because it gives you control over your life. It is important to distinguish responsibility from blame. Responsibility is proactive. What can I do to improve this situation? Blame is reactive. This is not my fault. Nothing I do matters. Taking responsibility allows you to act consciously, make better decisions, and reduce self-sabotage. You are not wrong for struggling, but you are empowered to heal and grow. Transforming obstacles into opportunities. Every challenge in life, every fear, pattern, or limiting belief is an opportunity for growth. Brianna Wiest emphasizes that the mountain itself is not your enemy. It is a mirror showing where transformation is needed. For example, fear of failure is an opportunity to build courage and resilience. Negative self-talk is a chance to practice self-compassion and reframe beliefs. Avoidance of relationships can reveal the need for emotional intelligence and boundary setting. When you view obstacles as opportunities, life becomes a journey of learning rather than a struggle against external circumstances. Integrating awareness, transformation, and action. The journey of self-mastery integrates all previous steps. Awareness. Recognize self-sabotaging patterns, fears, and triggers. Inner transformation. Develop emotional intelligence. Let go of limiting beliefs. Build empowering habits. Practice self-compassion and rewrite identity. Purposeful action. Align life with your desires. Take consistent steps. Act despite fear and adjust based on reflection. This integration allows you to climb your mountain intentionally and effectively, turning challenges into growth and fears into opportunities. Practical exercises for self-mastery. Brianna Wiest provides exercises to integrate these ideas into daily life. Value alignment exercise. List your top values and review daily decisions. Ask, does this choice align with my values? Action journaling. Track actions taken toward growth each day. Reflect on successes, challenges, and lessons learned. Fear practice. Identify one small fear each week and act despite it. Gradually increase challenges. Self-compassion. Check in. When struggling, write a compassionate note to yourself as if speaking to a friend. Visualization of growth. Spend time imagining yourself successfully navigating challenges and embodying your desired identity. These exercises connect inner work to tangible external results. The role of persistence. Climbing your mountain requires persistence. Transformation is rarely instant. Old habits, fears, and beliefs resist change. Consistency over time is what leads to lasting growth. Persistence involves showing up for yourself daily, learning from setbacks instead of giving up, celebrating progress, even small steps, reaffirming commitment to your goals and values. Each small step forward strengthens your resilience and reshapes your internal and external world. Freedom through self-mastery. Ultimately, Brianna Wiest teaches that self-mastery leads to freedom. Freedom from self-sabotage, freedom from limiting beliefs, freedom from fear and internal conflict. When you climb your mountain intentionally, you gain clarity, power, and purpose. You are no longer controlled by old patterns or external circumstances. Instead, you create a life aligned with your true self, where growth and fulfillment are possible. Self-mastery is not about perfection. It is about conscious living, turning obstacles into guides and fears into opportunities. Reflection exercises for self-mastery. Life alignment check. Review your life areas, career, relationships, health, personal growth, and ask, does this reflect my values and desires? Action steps plan. Identify 3 actions this week that align with growth and take them. Growth reflection. At the end of each week, reflect on progress, lessons, and areas needing attention. Celebrate wins. Recognize each courageous step, no matter how small. Integration practice. Connect insights from awareness, inner transformation, and action to daily life. These exercises help integrate knowledge into sustained growth and self-mastery.